again. JJ, we've been hearing since last night it's a PCL and likely season ending. I'm curious, what are you hearing this morning? Anything change or more updates on that?
Yeah, nothing has changed just yet. Obviously, that game ending around close to midnight Eastern, the 49ers then having to take the long flight back across the country to the Bay Area. And so they'll get imaging and scans done on Monday. Usually, when it comes to those CLs, when it comes to those knee injuries, what you think it is on the field with those tests, more times than not, it turns out to be. And so whether this ultimately requires surgery or if this is something that could be okay with rest, the fact of the matter is the San Francisco 49ers are nearing the end of their season. Of course, if this requires surgery, he will certainly be done for the year. But the way that this season has gone for them, even if he doesn't need surgery, it's possible that this injury will thus be season ending. So a difficult year, of course, for the reigning Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey, who you noted earlier. He was so healthy through his first couple years with Carolina. Then the injury bug started to hit. But the last 2 years, heading into this year, man, it seemed like San Francisco traded for him and everything was going to be okay with him, right? And I think only missing one game last year in the longest season of his career, going to the Super Bowl with a 17th game added to the schedule. But unfortunately, with that sort of double Achilles tendonitis that he's been dealing with for years, but then flared up right at the start of the season, and now this PCL injury that happened on that play that we saw just before he went down, very likely again that his season will be determined to be over.
JJ, real quick, I'm curious because we've seen it around the league with other teams where you see that running back by committee to preserve maybe that star guy, adding that second back to maybe alleviate some of that wear and tear. Have you heard anything like that with the Niners or around the league that maybe that's an option they can think in the future if you want to have C-Mac later in the year?
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is just so special. He's just so different. He is dynamic. He is a game changer, an equalizer, all of those sort of words that you would use. And so Kyle Shanahan was sort of asked something similar about whether you want to do a running back by committee. And he more or less said what I just said, that Christian McCaffrey is just different. And there are a couple of difference makers that are out there, right? The Saquon Barkleys, the Derrick Henrys in New Orleans, of course, with Alvin Kamara. And so they don't make many of them, and when they do make them and you have one of them, you want to use them to the best of his abilities.
When it comes to the Niners, look, they're 5-7. C-Mac is just one injury. You can add Bosa and Williams as well and others throughout the season. At this point, is it safe to kind of just wave the flag on San Francisco, the way their record is, and basically the rest of their slate here?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that just yet, right? I mean, we still got a month of football left to play. There are a lot of injuries. We do see the way that the season has been going for San Francisco. Historically, this is a team under Kyle Shanahan that when they have a slew of injuries, they usually struggle. They usually don't make the playoffs. When they're healthy, they go to the NFC title game. When they're not, they don't make the playoffs. We see their schedule there. We know that the Bears are obviously playing a lot better football offensively. And then, you know, that Rams and that Cardinals game are going to be difficult. Lastly, of course, that Detroit Lions game, I think everyone would assume that Detroit would win that. But this right here is why you can't count the 49ers out right now. It's a bit of a rock fight there in the NFC West. The Rams just barely winning, the Cardinals just barely losing, and then the Seahawks, you know, I would say sort of barely winning and getting it done in all sorts of phases of the game to beat the New York Jets yesterday. And so because of that, you can't count the Niners out. You can count them out of the NFC wildcard race, right? You're talking about in the hunt. Any of those teams that are in the hunt, that are in the NFC West, they're in the hunt for their division, not for the wild card. You could say the same for any NFC South team that you see on that in the hunt graphic. So for the Niners, they have to win the division. Still a month left to play. Still division games left out there. It can be done. And of course, they did just go up against one of the best teams in football. Some could argue the best team in football, in the Buffalo Bills. But yes, the injuries are mounting. The season is getting longer. And historically, this is not a team that performs well when those injuries mount.
We'll see what happens there for San Francisco moving forward. Elsewhere in Jacksonville, that hit on Trevor Lawerence, of course, went viral yesterday for multiple reasons. The optics are not good. If you're the league, how do you expect them to respond to what we saw and maybe the punishment on the opposite side there?
Yeah, I think that a suspension is very much in the realm of possibility for Azeez Al-Shaair with that hit. He posted an apology to Twitter earlier today. I know we call it something else. I still call it Twitter. He posted an apology to that social media platform. So he knows how bad it looks. And I would say, with my experience and expertise, that posting that public apology on Monday morning means that you're trying to mitigate any potential damage. He will be fined. There's no question about it. He will be fined for this hit, and we'll know that for certain come Saturday. But as far as a one-game suspension, the NFL looks at a number of factors. Have you been sort of a headhunter before? You know, have they dinged you for that before? And this is yet another example. That's what the league will certainly uncover during that part of the evaluation. They will be able to talk with him, because surely he will, if he is suspended for a game, he will appeal it. They can hear his appeal and then determine where to go from there. But I think a suspension, I know a suspension is absolutely on the table from the NFL for Azeez Al-Shaair for that hit. That, look, it looked terrible. It was terrible. I will just say, as it relates to Trevor Lawerence, who is in the concussion protocol, he went into that immediate sort of fencing posture that we saw there on the ground. I've spoken a number of times with Dr. Alan Sills, the chief medical doc of the NFL, who has said, as bad as it looks, the data and what the doctors have observed afterward is that it does not necessarily correlate to a severe concussion or a long-term sort of symptom that you think, when you see that it would lead to. So that's just one note from the chief medical doc that I had learned a couple of months ago, that I've reported before. And so Trevor Lawerence will be in the concussion protocol, as scary as it looked, and he will continue to be monitored throughout the week.
Something to watch here with the franchise quarterback. Speaking of a franchise quarterback or former franchise quarterback, Russell Wilson going for 4 bills against Cincinnati there, 4-14. Real quick here, got a minute here, JJ. 3 TDs. He was supposed to be a 1-year rental. Is it a chance he might secure another bag here?
Absolutely. He's going to be securing a bag somewhere in the NFL, and I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers would hope that it would be with them. The Steelers want both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in 2025. That's not going to happen. They're going to have to choose one, and you would think that they would try to choose Russell Wilson. But could he price himself out of Pittsburgh if what he wants is the largest payday? And he's been paid a couple of times already in his career, right? But this is going to be a free agent quarterback market that is going to be pretty dry. He's going to be the best one out of it, with Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold and Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett and Jameis Winston out there. So you have that. You have a very weak quarterback draft class after Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Who are you going to take right there? And so this is really sort of a simple supply and demand economics model, where I think that Russell Wilson could absolutely get a Baker Mayfield-like deal, $33, $35 million per year. Is Pittsburgh going to be willing to pay that? We'll see.
Mr. Unlimited, maybe secure another bag. Sierra will be happy, that's for sure. Jonathan Jones, my man, as always, giving us everything in the NFL. Appreciate it, my friend. Don't forget, you can also catch him on Sundays with the NFL Today crew, as well as our guy Matt Ryan at 12 Eastern on CBS.